What's up, fam? I'm Rah, your self-accountability coach, and I am here to bring another video to you, going deeper in depth on a video that I did on TikTok. You know how I like to do. Let's dive right in. So this particular video on TikTok is called Fugazi Spiritualist. I'm gonna link it down below if you do want to check it out, or if you want to go ahead and refresh your memory. You already follow me on TikTok and you just want to know exactly what I'm talking about. The video is down below. I actually had a lot of fun filming this particular video because I kind of felt like a Fugazi Spiritualist in the beginning too. Who knew? Even though I was doing it for all of what I thought were the right reasons, and they were the right reasons, I was just trying to find my way and figure out exactly what I wanted to do. In the particular video, Ego is like posting herself for Instagram or whatever, some social platform with Florida water. And it was the exact opposite for me, actually. I didn't want to post about any of my spiritual practice on social media because I felt like it would come off inauthentic. Yeah, so I was just like, you know what, I'm not gonna talk about it. I'm not gonna post it. I thought that I was going to be like a social media influencer and do fashion because I love fashion, and post about hair because I love hair, you know, and travel because I love to travel. But I realized that that is not the way God wanted me to show up in the world. And it took a really long time for me to realize that it's okay. Like, I can post about the things that I love in spirituality and still incorporate all the other aspects of me. And that's what I had trouble with finding. So once I got comfortable, then I started posting it on social media, and then I started doing what I was doing, you know. At the same time, along the lines, I have felt like there are some people that post or talk about certain things in the spiritual community just because it's a trendy thing now. And I can feel the inauthentic behavior behind it. I can feel the intention behind it. And to be honest, the intention isn't anywhere near where I feel like it should be based off the topic that's being discussed. So this kind of wraps into all of that, like being truly spiritual and having a practice and figuring things out and not sharing it with the world when there are people out there that might be able to help you down your path. Or, you know, I had a lot of spiritual friends in the background, but you didn't know up front. Well, associates. Because I mean, at this point with spirituality, like, you lose friends. I have no friends though. But I mean, if you're down the path, then you know exactly what I'm saying. But anywho, I have seen that. I have seen people use like over sexuality in the name of spirituality, and I'm like, it feels like you're missing the mark. Not saying that you can't be sexy and spiritual. You see what I'm saying? I'm just not into using sexy with the excuse of being spiritual. Like, no, I see you. And the fact that I have like this extra connection with the universe, extra connection with God, extra connection with myself, extra connection with you, even though you don't know it, I see you moving forward. Another part about this video that I maybe might have touched on, maybe people got an undertone of this, but doing things based off of other people's advice or things that you've seen, or just doing things because it just seems right, it matches the aesthetic of it all, of spirituality, really doesn't teach you anything. It's almost like cheating on a math test, if that makes any sense. I think the beautiful part about spirituality, that I love about spirituality, is you get the freedom to discover you, to discover and unfold where God shows up, how God shows up in your life, what practices are able to get you closer to self and God. Because honestly, one thing is for sure, two things are for certain with religion, with spirituality, and any practice that the intent is to have a well-being in mind. It is a practice that you have to continue and be mindful of every single day, no matter what it is, whether you pray, whether you praise dance, whether you speak in tongues, whether you know, it doesn't really matter what it is, as long as there's something that brings you back to earth, brings you back to God and self, brings you back in. It has to be some type of practice, some type of, I don't want to say ritual, because, you know, ritual has its own sound to it. People think all type of crazy, whatever. Anywho's, we do need to have some type of mindfulness practice on a daily to recalibrate ourselves so we don't get too far off on a deep end on either side of the spectrum. So for me personally, I remember I was channeling and I was actually doing it live, and a lot of people came in on my live. I think it was like, man, I don't even want to say a number. I wanted to say 700, but I think that was another live. Anywho, I was channeling, and for some reason, like, I kept tapping my head. At some point, I just needed to wrap my head. I needed to cover my head, and I got up and I got a scarf and I wrapped my head, and I promise you guys, the second that I wrapped my head, I felt like a big hug. I felt grounded. I felt at peace. Like, I just felt like so much was going on energetically all around my head, above my head, in my crown, and it was just a lot of energy, and I was like, what is happening? And I had to wrap my head. So now I'm like, oh, that's why people wrap their head, because once you open up yourself as a channel or as a portal or whatever, and you start to receive a lot of energy, you gotta protect your crown. You have to protect yourself. I had to go through that lesson or experience to now fully embody the reason why I cover my head. I don't have to explain it to anybody else, but for me, I feel secure, grounded, in a space of wisdom and unbelievably self-knowing to be able to say, this is why I have to cover my head. It's a beautiful experience to be able to gain wisdom. I feel like that's wisdom. Like, somebody could tell it to you, somebody can teach it to you, and that's knowledge, but to really embody it and feel it, that is wisdom. I feel like when you die, that is what your soul's essence and remnants of your energy carry on to the next life, if you do go on the next life. I don't know what happens when you die. I ain't dead. So it's a deep resonating factor when you actually go through things in your journey, and that's how you pick up the information versus everybody telling you what to do. Here's a book, here's what to do, go do it. Like, does it really have a deeper meaning and a deeper understanding for you personally if you don't go through the journey to find that for yourself? This is something that I thought I was friends with this person, but I realized like it didn't serve me. The relationship didn't serve me the way I felt like a friendship relationship should serve. I guess me finding friends is almost like me finding a mate, and it took me a really long time to find a mate that I'm proud to share with everybody. This person, I was cool with them, but they had things about them that I wasn't really rocking with. And the thing that I really didn't rock with is the fact that they saw the ego in everybody else and calling it out in everybody else, and, you know, doing stuff like, oh, when you say I, that's the ego. Like, baby, I'm using words. I'm trying to articulate myself, and you are trying to block my throat chakra, honey. But seeing the ego in everybody else but not seeing it in you, I feel like that's very fugazi. You know, a lot of this is my personal opinion, my personal feelings, and my personal experience. It could be different for anybody else. At the same time, for me, I'm like, you're rubbing me the wrong way. Yeah, I just remember there was an instance where there was back and forth about what wording I should use for a body butter that I had, and they felt like I should use a more simpler word, and I felt like I needed to use a word that had more in-depth meaning so that people could really understand what you know, whatever. Went into this whole thing, that's your ego, just for us to go through. I'm like, wow, is it my ego? Like, why am I doing that? And I really went into deep introspection in front of this person and Googled it and, you know, really got down into it. And really, I just have the gift of knowing. I just knew to use that particular word. It wasn't because I had to, because it's mine. It was because it made more sense for what the vision I had for what I was doing. And their ego was, they wanted me to use their word just because they felt like it was better. And I was like, that's your ego. And the second that I pointed that out, oh no, it can't be my ego. I don't want to talk about it. Da, 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 da. And I'm like, I can do an introspection, but you can't. Count your days. And it eventually turned into a count your days type of thing. Like, hey. So in the video, I talk about finding God within self and not in outside objects. Clearly, God is in everything, right? Well, I don't know if that's clear to people or not, or if it's news for you today. If you were today years old when you found that out, hey. But I feel like we all spend a lot of time finding energy in our ancestors or our guides or angels or sage or Palo Santos or, you know, plants or incense, singing bowls, baby, you name it. Crystals, that's a favorite. But we kind of miss the mark in finding God in us. Really, truly finding God in us. And once we find ourselves and we're conscious and mindful within ourselves, we might stumble across God in there somewhere. Not might, you will. You will. I'm just here to let you know. I'm here to motivate you. You will. But it's just one of those things, you know, finding mindfulness and consciousness in God and self, like really going into introspection within self, because once you have a really good relationship with yourself, man, like you really don't need anyone else. At the same time, you will be glad to share your existence with everyone else. I felt that on a deeper level, you guys. So thank you so much for sticking with me today. I will be going further in on the topic on Patreon, you guys. So if you are already over there, definitely take a look. The link is down in the description box below. I will definitely love to see you on a tribe. I go live over there. I share thoughts. I share book recommendations. I share tips and tricks on how to get to know you, how to be self-accountable. You know what I mean? You know what I mean. And if you haven't already, definitely go ahead and check out my TikTok. I'll link it somewhere in the video, and I'll also have it linked down below in the description box. Definitely, if you feel drawn, check me out on Instagram. I love to post stories on there. You guys kind of get to see a more in-depth personal side of moi. I also let you know when things are going to be posting or updates, and let you know when I'm going live on TikTok, Patreon, or whatever I got going on. I usually do it in my stories on Instagram, and I post a lot of my videos from TikTok on Instagram also. I would love to see you on all of my accounts. I'm very active. And thank you so much for sticking around with me today and making it all the way to the end of the video. You are the real MVP. And guess what? I'm wishing you plenty of abundance and prosperity times 10. Allow you to be who you want to be in this lifetime, baby. Grow, shine, prosper is yours. Thank you for standing to the end. I love you guys so much. Peace, love, and a little bit of spice. I'll see you next time. Mwah, mwah, mwah.